Good evening all and a warm welcome to all those who have joined the session. Before I start today's webinar proceeding, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Indrani Medipur, Assistant Professor of English, Department of Health, ACE Engineering College. And first of college research and development is one of the organs that look into the research being done by the entire faculty working here in various capacities. Firstly, I feel it's a privilege to invite our respected General Secretary, Professor Y. P. Gopalakrishna, Professor of ACE Engineering College, to this webinar. Sir is the founder of ACE Engineering, which is one of the reputed coaching institutes, not only in Hyderabad, in Chennai. She is a man with great vision, ambition, and an icon of hard. And I now invite our principal and the chairman of R&D Cell, the P.L. Raju sir, who puts his soul and heart into the progression of it. It's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. B.S.S.N. Srinivasabhavan, Vice Principal, Dean Academics, and HOD of the CS Department, who gives us support and guidance to all the events of this kind of important program. I am profusely joined to introduce Dr. Srinivasan sir, Dean of Research and Development Cell. It is not an overstatement to say that he is the pillar behind this event. And I am very much pleased to introduce Dr. M. P. Devi, HOD and Associate Dean of R&D Department of Civil Engineering. And finally, I would like to invite our HOD, Dr. Uma Maheshwari Madam, Department of Attendance, and also the coordinator of this webinar. And he is the one who has given us very important input for conducting this webinar. Respected dignitaries, dear participants, and my dear esteemed colleague, we all know that the main objective of this webinar is to enable students and also faculty to undertake the research in newly emerging frontier areas, engineering, technology, science and humanities, besides multidisciplinary fields which reflect their impact in enhancing the general researching capabilities of budding technocrats. Since they take active participation in conferences, seminars, workshops, projects, and various other competitions related to presentation. Thus, keeping such stakeholders in mind, this webinar has been designed. So, let us all make this a grand success. Now, it gives me an immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome on behalf of the entire Department of Humanities and Sciences to our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Vital Ghore, Assistant Professor of English Head, Department of English, Sri Havargi Swami College, Udgar, Latur, Maharashtra. I once again welcome you all for this webinar, and the title of today's talk is Research Trends in English Language Teaching. Now I would like to present our Chief Guest profile. That guest speaker, Dr. Vital Ghore, has been in the field of teaching for the past 24 years, presently working as an assistant professor and head Department of English in the Harvard College, Udgar. He is a postgraduate in English from SRCM University, Nanded, Maharashtra, MPhil from Madurai Kamaraj University, Madurai, Tamil Nadu, and PhD from Usmania University, Hyderabad, Telangana. He passed the Raker certification test and participated in the written and spoken assessment program for graduate eligibility tests and tests of English for foreign learners conducted by Educational Testing Services, USA, India. You also have completed a professional development course, Cambridge English Curriculum, language awareness from University of Cambridge, UK. He developed e-content as a subject expert for 23 different topics from British literature, American literature, including writings in English and English language, but also delivered 15 video presentations for UGC, the e-content development program, NME ICT sponsored project. It is conducted by Educational Multimedia Research Center and English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. And this video presentations are available on Spire platform also. He has been working as a resource person for orientation and research programs conducted by UCC HRC. These guest short-term courses, sponsored seminars, workshops, webinars, and other academic events. He also delivered a number of invited lectures to various colleges, and so far he delivered 74 presentations in various activities. In addition, he has developed a language software, computer-based English language training program. He participated in different seminars, conferences, workshops, and English national level. 28 research papers are post credit, which published both national and international conferences and in addition, an in-house publication boards credit, which was published in 2008. Under the title English Language Communication Skills Lab Matter. He has been the chief editor for NGI newsletter that tidings for 7 issues in a row. He also contributed as content developer for several books published and inspired by different readers. He was the recipient of the Best Flying Squad Award 2016 conferred by YPMO University in Maharashtra. He successfully worked as the convener 2009 SW2AC for consortium of 80 minority educational institutions and conducted state-level counseling at 4 different centers for ESET, 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 and he was also appointed as the convener ESET 2010, and over and above, he has been a successful I2AC and NA NAC coordinator and constantly contributing the building of the institution in academic and administrative point of view. I hope this session will definitely help our students, teachers, scholars, and many others to get awareness on research areas of English language teaching and also to progress in language standards. We can call him a man of letters because he is a professor, editor, publisher, writer, academician, and also an innovator of this trending literary era. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all for giving me this opportunity.
Hello friends, good evening to all of you. First of all, I must congratulate the organizers of this event. Similarly, ACE College of Engineering, Hyderabad, Honorable General Secretary of the College, Professor Gopal Krishnamurthy, Chairman, Research Development Committee, Dr. B.L. Raju sir. I am really happy to see after a long time Dr. B. Uma Maheshwari Madam, coordinator of this event and Head Department of Humanities and Sciences, Dr. G. Srinu Vasulu sir, Dean, Research and Development Committee, Dr. Indrani Madam, my ex-colleague, Mr. Raja Prasad sir, and all the participants of this event. Friends, the topic which is assigned to me is the recent research trends in English language teaching. As you know very well, that the whole world has gone through a considerable change after the introduction of, or I would say, the implementation of LPG policy called liberalization, privatization, and globalization. And when you try to correlate the entire international scenario with the recent happenings in the field of language studies, you will realize that it is the English language that has sustained in the course of time and maintained the necessary pace along with the international affairs. And probably that is the reason that today English is not only treated as an international language, or you go beyond that, it is not only the global language, but I would prefer to say that it has become the language for survival. It means, if at all you want to sustain, you want to secure a good opportunity, a good life, a good job, a good business, in this ultra modern period, without acquiring the necessary skills of English, it will be really difficult to you all. And that's the reason English has got lot of importance in the 20th century, and if you see now in the 21st century, almost already we have completed 2 decades of 21st century. English is being considered as the most important language in order to communicate with the entire world. And here we are going to talk about the latest research trends, especially in the domain of English language teaching. And of course, we are not getting into literature at all. So our focus will be recent trends in English language teaching. So friends, as I said, the topic that we will discuss for another 1 hour or so is titled as Research Trends in English Language Teaching. So altogether, my presentation will comprise discussion on 3 aspects as the title indicates. First, I will talk about research, of course, as a term and as we are expected to do. Second, I will talk about the trends, of course, the trends in English language teaching. And then all together we will try to see what best can be done as far as research in English language teaching is concerned. So here, whenever we talk about research as an academic activity, what I strongly believe is it is an extremely important aspect of an academic assignment or a task, either accepted or assigned, I would say. Because preparing for a subject in general or reading as a hobby and doing something with a special focus called a research, I think these are the 3 different ball games. Whenever you take up research activity, being a researcher, mind it well, it should be properly structured and it also should include the necessary and appropriate information related to the particular topic that you have taken up as a domain of your research. So this can be a generalized statement as made in the respect of research. But when you try to get into the finer details of this, you will realize that research is a systematic investigation for pertinent information on a specific topic that you have opted for. See here, a couple of words are very important in this respect. When I say systematic investigation, it also means a very practical, pragmatic, scientific approach that you adopt in order to work on a particular topic. So that can be the definition of the word systematic investigation. When you take up a specific area, a specific domain, a specific topic of your research, a researcher is expected to be very careful while doing his research. It means his research attempt should be a careful inquiry, specifically through research for facts in any branch of knowledge, whatever the individual has opted for. See here, I said, search for the facts. I hope you might have referred to the dictionary in order to understand the word research. See, actually, the word research has a root word called search. And here, re-indicates the second attempt, the next attempt, do, redo. Likewise, search, research. So here, you are expected to search for facts. You are also expected to redo the same attempt of searching for facts in order to understand the know-how of a branch of knowledge that you have opted for. So in general sense, you can say research is an academic contribution of a researcher to the existing stock of knowledge. And of course, we are trying to put our very sincere efforts in order to make it to the next level, in order to put it into the next stage. And that attempt made by a researcher is nothing but the sincere, holistic approach of doing research. Now you go beyond that. You will realize that this attempt of doing research, or once you take up research as an academic assignment or a task, actually it makes you to pursue the truth. It means you can say research is nothing but the pursuit of truth with the help of your own systematic, organized, scientifically done study, having with observations, experiments and conclusions with you. And once you do that with a very positive approach, it means you are on the right track of doing your research. Now you try to expand this topic here. See, it is the human temperament, and everybody's mind continuously functions, and it compels us to think, rethink, analyze, interpret. It means a kind of action goes on in mind, that of something or the other, that you call it research oriented. In psychological terms, it is said, like human beings are naturally inquisitive. If you force yourself not to think, your mind will not follow your instruction. Because fundamentally, naturally, or very spontaneously, the act of thinking, the act of research, the act of search, your feeling or your passion to find out something new, all these ideas arose in your mind so naturally. And when you put all these things in a very systematic, organized manner called an academic research, you will find that your meticulous involvement, your rigorous study will definitely fetch some laurels, and it will definitely bring out something new that you never expected. Now you try to correlate all these discussions with the domain of knowledge, with the domain of language in particular. So in general sense, you can say research in applied linguistics also involves your meticulous and rigorous set of procedures. See, doing research in literature needs a different approach. But when it comes to doing research in English language teaching, in general, you can also call it applied linguistics of any language in general, unless you are meticulous about, unless you have a rigorous set of procedures to be followed to make it more scientific and acceptable, your research in applied linguistics will not be accepted by any university. And the reason is very obvious. Research aims at presenting findings of a study. Mind it well. Doing research doesn't mean just to go for a kind of theoretical underpinning. Doing research doesn't mean that just to have a hypothesis. Okay, test the hypothesis, come to a conclusion, and submit along with the suggestions. No. It is something more than that. So you can say like it aims at presenting findings of a study that you have undertaken and that are deemed reliable and valid to an academic audience. Mind it well. Research documents are not generally read by any educated person. Research documents are read by the academicians, the scientists, those who are into the domain of some or the other knowledge. Because that is the main focus of their own work area. So you will realize that it tends to be very theoretical, but can also have some practical implications. It also can have some practical applications in the language classroom when you undertake any sort of research in the domain of English language teaching. Now, gradually I am leading you to my major focus of the day. So, generally, you can also take it like research enquiries that originate from a teacher based on his or her own observations, and that she or he investigates further in order to draw some logical conclusions. This entire attempt of research is a kind of practical done by a researcher. Suppose you undertake a topic that demands a field work, or else you undertake a topic that demands some sort of information to be collected by the means of a questionnaire, or some topic that demands your visit to a particular place in order to seek or in order to collect the data required. So whatever attempts that you make in order to complete your research activity, your observations, your analysis, your interpretation, your proposition of the ideas, so on and so on, they will definitely make the investigator restless. But once the investigator comes to a logical conclusion, once the hypothesis or the assumption taken for granted in the beginning of the research is properly tested, is properly executed, and then the expected results are found over there, so that research is going to be a successful research. And that's why you generally call it like these findings may not necessarily be presented to an academic audience, not essential. You will provide only the required content in your thesis, but are rather intended to help the teacher or a researcher to make informed, or else if you go beyond that, evidence-based decisions about how you really executed your research can be more effectively presented in the form of a document. So in a nutshell, I would like to say, whenever you execute or you take up a research activity, maybe at PhD level or postdoctoral level, because MPhil courses are nowhere now. So unless you have a very systematic approach to deal with your topic of study, you will not be able to justify it at the end. And now I am going to lead my presentation with the further discussion, which are the integral aspects of my talk today. As far as research in English language teaching is concerned, you will realize that, and we have always shown our inclination, very positive inclination in this respect, and we put in a number of attempts to manifest every day whenever we are doing some sort of investigation in the realm of English language teaching and learning. Now I am trying to expand it to the next level. But as a researcher, there are several questions which are raising their heads within. Generally, a question that disturbs the researcher is how a particular language works. Second, how to use the best teaching techniques in the class in order to present your topic more effectively, in order to make your learners learn, in order to prove yourself as a good teacher or a better teacher, or if possible the best teacher. So you always keep thinking about the best of the resources available in order to make your teaching more and more effective. And the third point that always make a good teacher restless is to how to understand why the things we have done in the classroom may not have gone as planned. See here, I don't know whether it is the success or the failure of the teacher, but it happens multiple number of times in the respect of a teacher when a teacher deals with English language teaching. Sometimes or someday we feel that maybe because of your enthusiasm, over energetic kind of feeling, you feel that you have done your level best today. But your sense of feeling may not convert into the similar kind of feeling in the mind of the learner. And that actually leads to the doubt in your mind that whatever I executed as a teacher in the classroom while teaching English language, I taught perfectly to my level, but whether the learners have learned perfectly to their level. That's why I made this third statement here, that whenever you put in yourself as a teacher and talk about English language teaching and learning to your learners, to your students, sometimes in the classroom you may experience that whatever you planned for is not really going according to your plan. And what I feel, here is the real potential for research. Because we are talking about English language teaching. You cannot have a simple hypothesis or an assumption in the respect of literature and do it. It is something related to your applied linguistics, which is a very fertile topic of research today. So once you take up these three aspects into your mind and think about English language teaching as a domain of your research, you will realize that this is going to be the research in its purity, most basic form, and it is also having the essence that all of us, including you and me, all together, we are the researchers. Sometimes I find a few people around, of course, they are also into the field of teaching, but they say that research is not my cup of tea. But I have an apprehension in this respect. Probably it is the, lack of confidence that somebody is not really thinking about it with a positive attitude. What I personally feel, and you will also agree with this, that research is accessible to everyone, irrespective of your role in the society. Already, when I began discussion, right in the beginning, I said that human mind is very curious to know about something new, or to explore something, or to discover something, depending on your own area of study. Because scientific research is different. I mean to say, the research done in the field of sciences, basic sciences, is different. But since we are talking about research in English language teaching, you will realize that unless the researcher performs a right role, no research will ever take place. So right in the beginning, a researcher has to identify what is the role of research in a language classroom and how does it really play. Secondly, how our research can inform our teaching practice on the part of a learner, learning practice, I would say. So we should never have only one, approach here, like teacher centric or only the student centric. Let us have this education or teaching learning as a reciprocal action. One at the giving end, another at the receiving end. And lastly, what different avenues teachers can take to share their work with their colleagues or other teachers and so on. So on these three grounds we can say that research in any domain of knowledge, in any subject, irrespective of your stream, faculty and so on, is really accessible to everyone. But once you get into this field of English language teaching and learning, you will realize that there is a paradigm shift in the course of time. Now you will realize how I am going to tap the recent trends in, especially research in ELT or new trends in ELT. I don't know how many of you are the teachers of English, more particularly teaching English language in your respective schools and colleges. So I am not getting into any historical background over here. Straight away I will talk about the old paradigm and the new paradigm. As far as the old paradigm shift is concerned, you see here, this is a shift from old to new, the previous to the latest or the recent. As far as old paradigm was concerned, it was instruction based. If you go to the 60s and 70s and 80s, you will realize that. And most of the educational institutions, they were very much happy with that, and they were providing instructions to the learners. But now you see in the last 20 years what actually happened in the field of English language teaching and learning, and you will also accept it. The kind of books that you studied as a learner, as a student in the school and colleges, and now you go through the English books of your own children, those who are going to the schools and colleges in the 21st century, in the last 2 decades or so, you will realize that the educational institutions of the contemporary time, they produce learning. They do exist to produce learning. It means it has a shift from old approach to new approach. The old approach was to provide instructions, and the new approach is to produce several activities, several content by several techniques and methods to make it more and more productive in the class. And so here in this respect, I cannot really avoid mentioning the names of these stalwarts. The great theorists like John Dewey, Jean Piaget, Carl Roger, those who have collectively worked, focused in different domains of English language teaching and learning, and they mainly focused on how students learn, is primarily responsible for the move to student-centered learning. But I have my own opinion in this respect. Whenever I say, or your John Dewey or Jean Piaget say, student-centric learning, my question is, and doubt is open to you all now, can you dissociate your teacher from the student-centered classroom? Can you imagine any sort of learning process in the absence of a teacher? I think if at all you want to execute the best of the teaching methods, there should be the collaborative work of a student and a teacher together. That would be the best ever method today. So what I feel, here is a research potential for the upcoming researchers willing to do some research in English language teaching. English language teaching in the theoretical point of view, English language teaching and learning process, English language teaching for skill development, listening, speaking, reading and writing and so on, I think there is nothing left over now. If somebody wants to do research in, William Shakespearean tragedies, throughout the world, this topic has been discussed, debated and executed by lakhs of people all over the world. So what new can you really, introduce from your end will always be a question. And same thing happened in the respect of English language teaching and learning. And you are listening, speaking, reading and writing skill-oriented job. So here what I feel, if you could really think about not only the student-centered learning or not only the teacher-centric learning, I would love the upcoming researchers to think on the collaborative approach to be adopted by a researcher. It is neither student-centric nor teacher-centric, but it should have a holistic approach of the effective dissemination of knowledge for the best of the best purpose of a learner. So think about it. It will be a very productive area. If you go beyond that, you will realize that central to their ideas is that students actively construct their own learning, which is known as constructivism. See here. Now you go back to my first point. Old instruction paradigm and new learning paradigm. This is the difference and this is the output. When you say that only the teacher's instructions will make the learner be proficient in language, I'm not of this opinion actually. It is the active, constructive role of a learner to put himself or herself into action, and of course, because of his innovative, creative, constructivist ideas, he becomes a proficient personality in the respect of language learning. So whenever, I visited IFLU for a number of times, even during my research, and even now, whenever I find some time, I do visit. I don't find anybody working on this domain also. Think about this idea. Like learner, okay, you take it as a student-centric approach if at all you want, but make it the constructivism kind of thing that is not the production of a teacher, but the academic production of a learner. And there lies the lot of potential as far as research in English language teaching is concerned. Similarly, you have the theory of learning. Again, it is a learner-centric approach which supports humans construct meaning from current knowledge structures. But this will be a very traditional kind of thing, if at all you get into that. Unless you have your own innovative, creative perception of the area or the domain of knowledge, you will not be able to contribute anything new to the domain of research. So I would say learners construct new knowledge as compared to the teachers sometimes, because every new generation thinks in a different way. Now you go back home, I know that you are already at your home, quite settled, having a cup of coffee or tea, listening to my presentation. Now you think about your own kind of style that you adopt and your own thinking process, and compare your thinking process with the next generation, that is your children. Then you will realize the difference between the two. So when it comes to the teacher's constructive role, and you try to compare and contrast the learner's constructive role, you will find that sometimes learners are providing better and new knowledge as compared to the teacher's constructive contribution to the domain of understanding of these areas of study. Teacher may have experience to his credit, but being innovative, being creative is something which is potentially available there with every new batch that you teach in the classroom. So I would love if at all any researcher could come up with this innovative idea, which is not at all tapped by any presently in the domain of English language teaching. Now you see here, on this slide you will come to know there are a multiple, topics or ideas or I would say the domains that I discussed here. It will let you know that what best can be done in the field of English language teaching and learning. But my humble request to all of you, please, be aloof from the very routine kind of research done in your soft skills or listening, speaking, reading and writing, challenges of acquisition of language skills, so on and so on. Think about something very creative, very innovative. This COVID-19 pandemic has taught us so many things. Now you try to correlate your English language teaching with the present COVID-19 scenario. Today, AC College of Engineering has organized, this series of lectures on research, but this is organized by the online modes. Of course, this is the binding of the time today. If at all the circumstances would have been favorable, we might have assembled somewhere in the offline mode. Don't you think this COVID-19 situation or scenario is a blessing in disguise, and it has opened up several new avenues for the researchers like you and me. Do you think that English language teaching is really untouched from its impact and influence? English language teaching has already been influenced by the newly introduced applications in the field of software design. Today, artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques can also be equally incorporated in the process of English language teaching and learning. See, when I conduct, suppose the organizers have organized this event. After the event, I hope, like the organizers will circulate one Google form and they will seek your feedback, they will collect your feedback, and automatically digitally generated certificate will be deposited or submitted to your email account as soon as you click the submit button. Don't you think this is the effective use of artificial intelligence or machine learning techniques in the domain of knowledge, in the domain of research, even in the domain of English language teaching? Similarly, you have the e-tutorship available today. Maybe your children or you may be the e-tutor available online for multiple number of people all over the world. There are so many teachers from in India, those who do this kind of job called e-tutorship for the students studying over there in the USA or even European countries or any other country scattered all over the world. So here you have a lot of potential to work on this domain also. But the e-tutor which use the natural language processing technique to teach or to deal with a language itself is a domain of research today. There are a very few theses available talking about or dealing with natural language processing. How did you acquire your mother tongue? And how did you adopt your foreign language, that is English, as a foreign language? So you have the natural language processing that happens psychologically, quite internally, and we do adopt or learn a language, whatever that we find in our surrounding. So this area has also become the research potential area today. Similarly, as I was talking about the artificial intelligence, you can definitely work on automating your educational activities. Already we are doing that. See, suppose I circulate a Google form along with the automatic answer checking system. It means evaluation is taking place. Marks allotment or marks scheme of marking is already provided. So mark allotment is done. Your grading is done. Don't you think this area is still unaddressed by the researchers? So I would love if somebody could come up with this idea that how this automatic evaluation system, marking system or grading system is really providing a better infrastructure to the teachers of English with minimum efforts with the optimum output. Just imagine, you conduct an objective test in the old pattern, paper pattern, and you start checking everybody's answer provided to you. and how much time do you take. But here, in the in the technological point of view, when you develop your question paper of 40 questions or 50 questions or whatever as per your university instructions, you need to put in your efforts only once. Design the question paper, provide the correct options, identify the exact option as your answer, award the marks, just make it a compulsory question, and then just throw it to your students. Now leave it everything to your computer system, that it will evaluate, it will provide the details of the marks, it will award the grades. Your job is completely done with single attempt of making a question paper. But now my question is, how many researchers have really focused on this area? We have adopted a routine method. Listening, speaking, reading and writing. ELT means is nothing beyond this. It is ridiculous. Unless you identify the newer areas, unless you identify something which is not yet explored, to be explored, then only it will be your constructive contribution to the field of research. And that too, especially in the domain of English language teaching and learning. So I will never say only teaching. I would always add teaching and learning, because teaching and learning is a reciprocal process. In the absence of the learner, teacher has no role to play. But sometimes, in the absence of a teacher, learner can learn so many things, because technology is available now. Now you see, one more area that I would like to discuss about. Each one of you knows about computer assisted language learning. You know about CAL, CALI, so on and so on. But I am not going to talk about it. Already I said, I am not getting into the background of ELT and all. I will talk mainly about the areas which have the research potential with the modern perspective. Here you have ICALL. ICALL. This I stands for intelligent. And again, it is leading to artificial intelligence kind of thing. It is leading to machine learning techniques kind of thing. Already you know very well. How does your computer assist you in order to learn language? Already ma'am has introduced, when giving my introduction, that I also developed a computer, oriented language learning software. So that is outdated now. Whatever I developed before 8 years has become outdated. Now I should think of what best I can do in the respect of artificial intelligence, machine learning techniques, and how do I make my program, that is computer assisted language learning program, more and more intelligent. And this is also one of the newest areas, I would say, if at all you could really work or do something with your PhD level research. Now you go beyond that. Utilizing big data to build adaptive learning is as obvious, and this is the role of a researcher. We are expected to do so, depending on the level of research that you are doing. But similarly, you have, as I said, this pandemic has taught us so many things. This online English language teaching, more particularly language learning, assessment techniques you can take into consideration for doing your research. In the course of my observations or study, I would say, there are a very few researchers, those who talked about testing and assessment. You will find innumerable research done in other areas of teaching and learning. But there are a handful of researchers, those who are working on testing, examinations and assessment. So I would love if somebody could come up with ELT, but not only your traditional conservative approach of English language teaching and learning. I would love to induct a word in the beginning, that is online English language teaching and learning. ELTELL. So I'm trying to combine both the things together, because I cannot imagine only teaching in the absence of learner or only learning in the absence of teaching. If you could do the collaborative work with the online perception of teaching and learning, you have a lot of potential in this domain of knowledge also. Similarly, already I talked about this artificial intelligence, but I would love if somebody could correlate it with English language teaching, English language learning, with a special focus on English language testing and then English language assessment. Parallelly, you can add on like grading, so on and so on. So these are the emerging fields in the realm of English language teaching and learning. If at all somebody is really willing to work at the school level kind of research, means focusing on school education, there is a list research done, especially in this topic that I mentioned here, like emerging fields of English medium instruction research. Mind it well, I talked about old and new paradigm shift, and here I am taking you back to the old paradigm shift, that is the English medium instruction research. How this instruction method of English medium, how effectively it really works, whether it is a success or a failure. There are a list number of researchers, those who have really tapped this particular topic. Otherwise, in the domain of English language teaching and learning, you will find that so many researchers have talked about teaching English as a lingua franca or English as a lingua franca, or else they try to talk about this EFL and ELF kind of thing, so on and so on. So before we proceed to the subsequent discussion on a few more topics, you need to understand that whenever you say teaching English as a lingua franca, this lingua franca means a language. Suppose you take up English as a language that is adopted as a common language between the speakers whose native languages are different. Now you see here, I am at my own native state called Maharashtra. My mother tongue is not English at all. My mother tongue is Marathi. Most of you are from Telangana, Andhra Pradesh or any other part of the country. You are settled at your own place. You have your own language, but of course it should be other than English. It can be any other language then. So now there is a communication between all of us, there is a communication among all of us, and that communication we are doing with a language called English. So here this English has become a lingua franca for all of us. It's a common language between you and me. From my end, I am speaking. From your end, you are listening. So I am at the giving end, you are at the receiving end. So this English has become a lingua franca for us, for all of us. If you really go to the historical background of this development, you will realize that there is a journey from English as a foreign language to English as a lingua franca. Already I told in my introduction itself that English is not only the international language today. English is not only the global language today, but English has become the language for survival. And that's the reason that today we don't call it as a foreign language. It has become a lingua franca for all of us, those who are into the higher education area. So friends, as while discussing earlier, I talked about this collaborative learning approach. I think this area is really having a lot of potential to work in. So this collaborative learning is one of the hot topics in this century. Teachers use online tools, as I said, excuse me. Sorry. So, teachers use online tools, as I discussed earlier. I'll add on a few more. Like you have Google Docs, Google Forms, other Google platforms as well. You have Padlet, you have Facebook groups or your WhatsApp groups, so on and so on. Mind it well, all these, recent introductions of internet technology, I would say, it has created a wide scope for teachers and learners to have collaborative teaching learning process, and it is successfully happening. But it depends on how do we really take it up. Some other interesting collaborative learning tools are like alternative reality games. Many teachers, those who are teaching at school level, they are very effectively using it to enhance learners' general performance. They do adopt role play games method in order to assess the oral presentations and critical thinking skills of the learners. So this collaborative learning, if you could now think in the box of online teaching learning, I would say it would be the more fertile topic for research in the days to come. Because there is no research done so far in these areas. Similarly, all of us are very fond of mobile now. You cannot imagine a person without a mobile handset and that to a smartphone. Now let us think on this line, whether we can make it a domain of research. Using mobile phones in the class, there was a time before the break of this COVID-19 that we were asking our children or students not to carry mobiles, not to use mobiles. But during the pandemic time, we were the first one to insist our children to have their headphones, to have their palm tops, laptops or tablets or smartphones and to attend the online classes. I think this has really opened a new discussion now in the academic arena, that why don't you really think of research in this area then? So you can work on smartphones, how to effectively use smartphone for the dissemination of knowledge of language in particular. You can use social media, you can use education, online education itself as a domain of subject for your further research. You can talk about language learning through mobile applications. Hundreds of applications are, not hundreds, lakhs of applications are available, I would say. There was a time when we were the college going students, our English faculty used to play audio cassettes for British accent, and we found it very interesting at that time. But today, no learner should rely on the teacher to play anything for them. Mobile applications, smartphone mobile applications, whether it is Android or Windows based, they will provide you whatever language atmosphere or surrounding that you want. It will be genuinely providing you the content. This area is also a very good area for research in the days to come. Similarly, you can say or you can think using mobile phones, I mean to say smartphones only, for language acquisition. See, the kind of language that we adopted is nothing but the results of the atmosphere provided to us all. And today, this present generation is fortunate enough those who have been experiencing proper exposure with the help of the smartphones, laptops, tablets, so on and so on, all these digital gadgets, I think they have better exposure than we got. And this also is a very good area for research in the days to come. Now, some of you, those who are very, particular about LSRW skills, project-based learning, so on and so on, of course, there will be something for you all, no doubt. But I am of the opinion not to go to all these very traditional topics which has already been discussed, debated and presented by a huge number of researchers. So you can think about developing communication skills through project-based learning. You can think about project-based learning and collaborative working environment for language adoption and acquisition, so on and so on. But I would say these are the very traditional kind of topics, if at all you really want to tackle. But now you think about something beyond your imagination. Because the whole world has become a global village. We are living into a global community. Then why not think about something which is global? So this is just an idea that comes to my mind now. So promoting a global community and a global culture and the exchange of culture in association with language learning is going to be the area of potential. I would love if at all some of you could take up this topic, and I will also suggest you a few areas towards the end of my presentation today. So you have teachers around the world, scattered throughout the world, irrespective of the their involvement in the school level teaching learning or college level teaching learning or higher education level, whatever it may be. But for the sake of the students' progress, the constant immersion in English outside the classroom is going to be the key today. Okay, once again I repeat that I am not going to dissociate the teacher from the process of teaching and learning. I am not of the opinion. Similarly, you can also think of some of the tools and the initiatives used in this respect, in this regard, include using your Skype video conferencing, Zoom video conferencing, Google Meet video conferencing, or even WhatsApp based groups you can create and you can have video conferencing. So here you are providing the global classmates to come together. Now also, if at all somebody has joined from a foreign land, already I am also addressing to the global audience. There are a number of seminars and topics that I presented in which I found a number of participants or the delegates from a foreign country. So here this topic is also going to be a very fertile topic if at all you could really think of using social media or using such kind of video conferencing platforms for effective process of teaching and learning. And of course, your focus will be English language learning and of course teaching as well. So English language camps are conducted online today. English language exchange programs are conducted online today with the help of the video conferencing tools. National level competitions are being conducted. International interactions are conducted. Right? Even literature feast we are organizing on online mode now. This area is also a very fertile topic for research today. If you go beyond that, how this recruitment of international volunteers is taking place and what is the role of English in the process of this recruitment process can also be one of the very fruitful topics. So altogether, I would like to say, taking English outside of the classroom is also seen as important even in the previous period, previous time, because it promotes a sense of global community and intercultural understanding. And that is all possible when you have English as a lingua franca. If at all somebody from an Arabian country knows his own language, in addition he knows English, and you are from India, knows your own local language plus English, your communication will be established only with the help of English as a language, whereas English is not your mother tongue. It works as a lingua franca for establishing communication between the two, but mind it well, it is also initiating the possibility or the opportunity for cultural exchange. So think on these areas that can be the most fruitful areas for your research. Mind it well, today video content is a king. I hope all of you know about it, right? And once you know about it, you will realize that today's teachers, if you go to my YouTube channel, you will find more than 230 video topics that I presented for my students, and more than 50 topics that I presented all over the world as a speaker on different topics. That's why I said, like, video content is the king today. If at all you really want to expand the boundaries of the world, you want to go beyond the horizon, then you can reach out to the other part of the world also by the means of the video content development. So this area is also very fruitful area for research in the upcoming time. So you have teachers, today's teachers I would say, tend to see video as the most accessible channel for students. They routinely use ready-made content in the class as the basis for listening and speaking exercises. And it can also be used by the means of your mobile applications, smartphone applications. There are a number of applications available providing you this platform. Where there is a specific learning need, however, they increasingly like to create tailor-made video content to share with students on the open resource or open source platforms. In my introduction, ma'am has already talked about it, that I work for UGC as the subject expert and produced more than 25 different topics which are available on UGC e-content development program like Swayam. They are being telecasted by Government of India on its channel like MHRD channel 1, or you have channel called Language and Literature. So these video contents are being telecasted all over the world. So by this means also you can provide proper resources, reliable resources to your learners. But I would like to say this area is also having a lot of potential of research. Okay, just go beyond that. Non-digital games, mind it well, and the game-based learning is going to be the upcoming era now. Okay? Post-COVID, in the post-COVID situations, you will realize that in the days to come, hundreds of applications will come, and that will be game-based language learning tool. So I would say this is also going to be one of the newest areas, one of the latest trends in English language teaching learning research. So if at all somebody is really willing to, you can think about Kahoot application. Once you start using it, you will realize how effectively it can be used even for language teaching and learning. Now you see here, I would like to talk about a few areas related to English language teaching and learning in which you have a lot of potential. But once again, I proclaim whatever I discussed so far, these are the latest trends, and these are going to be the upcoming trends in English language teaching, especially in this domain you are going to do research. But now you could see now on your screen, there are a few topics which are language related topics, but I don't really think this is going to be the latest, introduction or latest kind of, research in these domains. But if at all somebody is very traditional in the approach, you can think about professional jargons as a domain of research. You can think about language and advertising. You can think of language and community, language and cultural identity, language and culture, language and gender, language again in association with literacy, language how it is leading to power today, language and the media language as such, language of politics, okay, and language and technology. But I don't really rate these topics going to be the latest trends. These are the established trends in English language teaching. But if at all somebody is very, conservative as far as his ideas or her ideas are concerned, you can also think of these topics. And what I personally feel, that whatever I discussed for the last few minutes or so, these are going to be the latest trends as far as English language teaching and learning is concerned. As I was intimated that the time slot allotted for the presentation is from 7 o'clock to 8:30, and I hope I really meet this deadline. And here I come to the conclusion of my presentation. I am really grateful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to share my ideas with you all. It was really a pleasure to talk after a long time on any topic related to research, that too particularly English language teaching. And this was really a wonderful experience for me as a presenter for the day. So once again I express my gratitude to the organizing institution and all the dignitaries, those who have attended this session. And once again I am thankful to giving me this opportunity to share my ideas and views. Thank you very much. Over to you, ma'am. Indrani ma'am, over to you. Hello. Hello.
Sir, she is coming, sir.
Okay, fine, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your speech. Indrani, madam.
Good evening, one and all present here. It is my privilege to have been asked to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this seminar on research areas of English language teaching. On behalf of the English department and its entire fraternity of the college, I would like to express my gratitude to our honorable chief guest and research person, Dr. Vital G. Gore, for taking out his time from his busy schedule to grace the event. Thank you for inspiring and encouraging us with your words on this special day. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. A special thanks to Dr. G. Srinivasulu, Dean of Research and Development Cell, for his moral support and guidance. On my behalf, I extend my gratitude to Dr. B. Umameshwari Madam, Head of the HNDS Department, for organizing a webinar event amidst the pandemic. We express our deep gratitude to the Honorable General Secretary, Professor Sri Y.B. Gopalakrishna sir, for motivating and encouraging us in every aspect during the conduct of the webinar. A very special thanks to our beloved Principal sir, who is instrumental in making the webinar series happen. A very special thanks to respected Vice Principal and Dean of Autonomous Framework, Dr. B.S.S.N. Srinivas Baba sir, for his constant guidance and mentoring during planning and execution. I thank all the participants for your active participation and sharing your views. Last but not the least, I must thank the organizing team, teaching and non-teaching staff for working hard for the past few days to make this webinar successful. Thank you everyone once again for making